Happy New Year and welcome back to the Contemplation Cafe. As always, this is Paul, your host, inviting you to come inside, pull up a chair, and have a think or two. Now we're going to back that up. Maybe don't come inside and don't pull up a chair because you can tell I'm on the sick side. Got a really gnarly cold this weekend. What a great way to ring in the new year. So we'll call this the socially distanced edition of the Contemplation Cafe, much like about a year ago when I had the COVID and had to quarantine and stay home and all that good stuff. Thankfully, this is not nearly that bad, just a gnarly, nasty cold. So I'm going to hold out as long as my voice will hold out, and let's just see where we go. So I apologize for hacking and coughing and clearing my throat. I will try to keep it to a minimum. All right, let's just get into it. Really, and this is part of the message, actually. The reason why I'm doing this today, now, is, of course, we just did a message on John chapter 9, my favorite verse in the Bible, my favorite chapter in the Bible. This one verse stuck in my head. And it's been in my head this whole time I've been sick. And it's from John 9:4, where Jesus says, I must work the works of him who sent me while it is day. The night is coming when no one can work. And it just kept after me, kept after me. And I've come to realize in my life, in my walk with the Lord, if he keeps hammering something at me multiple times over and over and over again, that means he's either trying to get my attention, he wants me to do something, or wants me to know something, or something like he is engaging me. He's like, we need to engage. So, despite the fact I have felt like 2 weeks of soggy laundry, I said, all right, let's just do it. And so really this one verse has been a motivator for me to get in here and do this today, despite how cruddy I feel. So I'm going to trust and believe that I am doing the works of him who sent me. Therefore, I also believe that he is going to supply the things that I need to do the work that he has asked me to do. That's how that works, right? My God shall supply all your need according to his riches and glory in Christ Jesus. And I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength, except for that mosquito that must die. So there it is. And I've been thinking about that verse too, as God has been hammering me with it. And I wonder if that really is a verse for the entire year, this coming year, as we see prophetic events just continue to line up. Much like a pregnant woman gearing up to give birth, right? Jesus talked about those things in Matthew 24 and said, all this stuff, but these are the beginning of labor pains. And then he keeps on going. And I keep watching all the stuff that's going on. Now we've got another outbreak of the bird flu, and it's supposed to be super bad this time, and we're looking at more food shortages potentially and things. And we've seen the weather events with the tornadoes in Kentucky area, and Colorado was on fire for a while, and now it's under snow, just like that. There's been weird noises in different places that no one can figure it out, but everyone hears them. So these are all just different things. And just as a woman gets closer and closer to the time of giving birth, those warm-up contractions get more frequent and more intense. Because A, it's telling you, you better start thinking about getting ready to go. And then also warming up the body, getting those things engaged that need to be engaged. So when the time comes, then you can just get right to it and get that baby going. That's all part of it. And I just see prophetically, we see more and more of this happening. So I do wonder if this actual verse is a verse for the entire year and an encouragement to all believers that we really must refocus our perspectives and work the works of him who sent us. We're all sent from God, right? We are ambassadors of the kingdom of heaven. We are ministers of reconciliation. Whether you stand in a pulpit on a Sunday or not, we're all ministers of reconciliation, just as Jesus was reconciling the world to himself through the cross. We are now his ministers of reconciliation, and it's our job to go out and reconcile the sinners to himself. That's our job, right? That's the Great Commission. Go into all the world and make disciples, and that's our job. So I do wonder if this is an encouragement verse for the entire year. That's one thing to think about. Number two, going along with that, let's roll back over to John chapter 5. And this is where Jesus just heals a guy at the pool of Bethesda, and the guy goes his way, but as he goes, he encounters the church people, go figure, and tells the church people what happened. Says, hey, I was that dude laying over there, and I'm walking now. I'm a new guy. I got magic legs. And so, of course, he said, well, how did this happen? And it was Jesus. For this reason, the Jews persecuted Jesus and sought to kill him because he'd done these things on a Sabbath. But Jesus answered them and said, My Father has been working until now, and I've been working. Therefore the Jews sought all the more to kill him, because he not only broke the Sabbath, but also said that God was his Father, making himself equal with God. Then Jesus answered and said to them, Most assuredly I say to you, the Son can do nothing of himself, but what he sees the Father do. For whatever he does, the Son also does in like manner. For the Father loves the Son, and shows him all things that he himself does, and he will show him greater works than these, that you may marvel. And he goes on from there. But I just want to keep it right here. So let's back it up a little bit. Key in on this. The Son can do nothing of himself, but what he sees the Father do. For whatever he does, the Son also does in like manner. Isn't it interesting? I wonder, in the life of Jesus, when he was here on this earth, if he literally, physically, or maybe spiritually, but while he was standing on this earth, saw God doing these things. Like when he walked up to the guy at the pool of Bethesda, there was a lot of people there. But the Bible only says he went to one person. And the Bible does not tell us that after this had happened, everyone else said, oh, hey, me too, me too. Only this one person. And then Jesus went on his way doing his thing. Isn't that interesting? Jesus could have healed them all. They all could have asked for healing. But there's no record of any of that. So I have to believe that Jesus only went specifically and healed one person. Did he see God going and singling out that one person to heal? Just like we saw in John 9, where they asked, hey, who sinned, this guy or his parents, that he was born blind? And Jesus said, neither. This is so the works of God can be done. Crazy. That kind of makes your mind go tilt. So I wonder if Jesus actually saw these things and saw, like the funeral where he stopped the funeral procession and raised the kid from the dead. Did he see God going and doing that very thing, and then Jesus went to go join him and go do the thing? Something to think about. That's a real thing to think about. And this is the food for thought that goes along with that. If God came to you in the morning as you were waking up and said to you straight up, hey, insert your name here, I'm going to heal the sick today at the park. Why don't you join me? What would you do? Some people would probably jump up immediately and rebuke the devil. I understand that, but let's skip over that one. Let's assume that you're convinced that that wasn't the devil, and that you didn't have too much pizza last night or didn't stay up too late watching stuff you probably didn't need to watch anyways, that this was legit, that this was the Lord coming and talking to you as you woke up. Would you then give a bunch of excuses? That you had to get up and go to work, you had to get the kids to school, you had to make a meeting or make a phone call, or you had to go run some errands, or you had to get the car in the shop. It was just not very convenient for you at this time to rearrange or drop your schedule to go to this park and go hang out. Maybe there was another time. Or would you really just jump up and say, yeah, that sounds great to me. What time would you like me to be there? I'm really hoping in my own life, and I'm encouraging you as well, I really hope that our answer is answer number 3. That if God came and spoke to us, something like that, that we would just instantly say, you betcha, that sounds like a great idea. What time would you like me to be there? And then not worry about anything else. And let God handle all those other details. They're just done. Because we're going to be here, because God said we should be here doing what he's doing. And I wouldn't want to miss that, would you? Well, let's maybe not make it so spectacular. Let's make it a little more normal. What if God said, hey, I'm working on blah blah coworker at work. Why don't you join me in sharing the gospel? Are we still going to run through that? Are we still going to be excited and go to option number 3 and say, that's like a great idea. I'll make that happen. Something to think about. But in general, if God's showing us where he's working, and one of the easy ones, let's pick an easy one. So an easy one is when people are asking spiritual questions, when they're asking questions about heaven and hell or life and death, or maybe they're asking religious questions. Why do you do that? And why do you do that? And why do we do that? That if people are asking spiritual questions and contemplating spiritual things, more than likely God is doing something. God's working on them in some way, because we, in and of ourselves, being spiritually dead, we're born dead. That's why we have to get born again. We're born here the first time. We're born here the second time, right? So we're born spiritually dead. So we're incapable in and of ourselves of reaching out to God. God has to reach out to us. It's all Him. He initiates that. Excuse me. Just like Moses at the burning bush. God set that bush on fire. God reached out to Moses. Moses had nothing to do with it. Moses was just passing by. And probably if that bush wasn't on fire and Moses could see it out of the corner of his eye and maybe hear the crackling of the flames and feeling the heat, he wouldn't have turned aside. God had just been standing there twiddling his thumbs going, "Hey, Moses, can you see me?" But something to think about, something to consider, especially this year, especially in light of we're moving so quickly towards this date with Antichrist. I really believe that when he comes to power, it's open season on Christians. I'm hoping the pre-tribulation rapture people are correct. Please, I hope they're correct. I really do. I want them to be correct. But otherwise, it's open season on Christians. And at that point, the night has come in which no man will work. We won't be doing evangelistic crusades. We won't be doing any of those things anymore because now survival will be our only occupation. Think about that. But anyways, don't want to get too crazy. Just bring it all back in. I really do believe this year we need to be working the works of Him who sent us while it is still day, because the night is coming when no one can work. And if God does come to you, comes to me, I really pray that and hope that it's in our heart that if God speaks, we'll say, "Hey, that's a great idea. What time would you like me to be there? Hey, that's a great idea. Where would you like me to be? Hey, that's a great idea. I can make that happen right now." Something like that. I'll set it up today. Whatever. However you want to respond. And it's going to be a paradigm shifter. It's going to shake up some stuff. If God starts talking like that and you start making yourself available, God's going to shake up your paradigm. He's going to shake up your routine, and He's going to put some things on its ear, because that's kind of what He does, because that's the importance of, remember, the disciples. How many of them did we read about? They were already engaged in doing other stuff. They were busy. They had things to do. And yet He called them. They immediately dropped everything. Right? So 4 of them initially were fishermen, and they were actively engaged in post-fishing activities, cleaning the nets and the fish and the whatever. Jesus comes along, follow me. They stop what they're doing, drop it and walk. They didn't even tell the guys they were coming back. There's no record of that. They just left. They just left and went their way. Can you imagine the rest of the guys going, "Hey, where are you going? We got things to do, man." And they just left. Now look at Matthew, the tax collector. Here he is doing his job, right? He's collecting taxes, whatever else they do. So he's got piles of money around him. He's got the books and the whole 9 yards. Jesus cruises by, follow me. He leaves everything, all that money on the table. I'm sure the people were, after they scratched their heads and figured out, "Is this guy crazy?" They saw all that money and probably helped themselves and got their money back. But he just left it all behind. There was no thought of consequence of any of that stuff. It was, Jesus calls, I'm going to answer. And I just would pray that we would have that same kind of heart, that same kind of ears, the same kind of eyes, that when we hear the Master call, when we see what He's doing, there's the invitation to join Him, that we will willingly, immediately, promptly, joyfully go join Him in His work. So think about it. And thanks again for stopping by the Contemplation Cafe. We'll see you again next time, and I should be a lot healthier then.